Hello, and welcome back. I'll be going over my guide of Mario Odyssey moveset. I'll be going over the basic movements for stuff like beginners, all the way up to professional moves, all the way up to speedrunners. Alright, we'll be starting off with the most basic move first, called Twirl Kicks. It's as simple as pressing A and B back and forth in a repetitive and consistent pattern. You want to keep them in rhythm, that way you stay in the air longer and go a further distance. It's as simple as pressing A and B back and forth. You can also add twirls in between by pressing down Y or pressing down on your left stick. If the left stick does not work, you can easily bind Y to your left stick. That way you can press down on your left stick and spin. Now try again, while adding spins in between. I'll show a slower version of this with a controller as an example. Next up, we have the cat bounce, both horizontally and vertically. This can be used for transversing across areas with ease, making you go further distance and getting to areas you couldn't normally get to. Starting with horizontal. Alright, I have switched over to Mario for this, because for some reason I have bugs with Luigi and Luigi's hat will not show when I throw it. Now, I'll go ahead and continue starting with the horizontal cap. You jump, throw your cap, and dive. This can be done by pressing A to jump, X to throw your cap, B and ground pound to dive, and press B again. I'll show a slower version of this, with the controller as an example. Next is the vertical cap jump. This can be performed by pressing A up on your D-pad, pressing B to gain height, and diving. It is very versatile and can gain a bunch more height and get you to areas you couldn't have before. I'll give an example of this with the controller. Another tip while doing a horizontal or vertical cap jump is pressing A right as you're jumping on the cap or a few frames right before. This will give you extra height, making it much easier to gain height. It can be used in a variety of ways, and even get you to get into the speedrunning type of stuff, as professionals do. I'll give an example of this with a controller. Another tip is you can control how far or how close your cap is by how long you hold your X button. The longer you hold it, the farther your cap goes. The less you hold it, the closer he goes. I'll give an example of this with the controller. Next up is rolling. It's another easy move you can perform. It's as simple as holding down your crouch button and pressing B to roll. You can keep pressing it to keep up your speed and keep rolling. If you ground pound and then roll, you'll immediately gain speed at a high rate, making it so you can roll faster on the spot. I'll give an example of this with a controller. Next is spin jumping. You can perform this by holding Y or pressing down on your L stick to spin and then pressing A to jump. I'll give an example of this with a controller. Next is what we call a Gork Jump. A Gork Jump is a more advanced move. To perform a Gork Jump, you spin jump immediately while rolling. This will keep your speed and you can go even further with it. To perform a Gork Jump, roll, throw your cap, and spin jump immediately after. This move is pretty easy to do once you're used to it. It can take some time, but after you're used to it, this can be a piece of cake. I'll give an example of this with the controller. Another tip for Gork jumping. As you saw earlier, I gave an example of ground pound rolling to get more speed immediately. The same can apply for Gork jumping. You can ground pound and Gork jump immediately after to get immediate speed. It is always better to spin pound, which is the same thing as ground pounding but with a spin jump. You can do this instantly instead of having to wait in the middle of the air with the ground pound like this. Always choose spin pound over ground pound, as it is better priority and is faster. So do a spin pound and a Gork jump immediately after and you can keep your speed. This is a more advanced way to do it, and it's faster. Take some time and practice and I'm sure you can get it down. I'll show an example of this with a controller. Another tip for Gork jumping. If you use a steep slope and roll on a steep slope, perform a Gork jump while rolling down to gain a lot of speed. This can be used a lot for speedrunning and going around places very fast. I'll give an example of this on controller. Another tip is when holding down your left stick or Y on your controller. To spin, you can spin on any surface, even steep slopes. You can stay on the slope for as long as you want until you let go of spin or jump off of it. I'll give an example of this with a controller. Now that we've gone through all the beginner and advanced steps, now time to perform a high jump. This can be done by spin jumping, throwing your cap up, and getting extra height by pressing A. This jump is one of the highest heights you can get in the game. Not the exact highest, I will show that later for more professionals and who want a challenge. I'll show an example of this current one with a controller. Alright, that is all the basic and advanced moves you need to learn to get better at the game. Using these moves, you can get the crystal stars and pink gold stars used in the PC port of the game. They are an extra challenge for those who love harder stuff to do. I'll show an example of two of the crystal stars. Crystal stars are a harder variant of the pink gold stars. Alright, this one is the maximum height jump. This is the one I was referring to earlier. This is for those that really want a challenge or want to be a professional at the game. I'll perform the trick now to show you. This is the current maximum height you can currently get with Cappy. I'll show an example of this with controllers for those who are struggling with it. Thank you all for watching my video, and I hope it helps out a ton. For those that want an extra challenge, you could try out the maximum speed flood that I'd done the other day. I have a video covering the topic. Anyways, bye bye, and hope y'all have a great day.